miniature soldiers, big opinions. This is the Conclave Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Conclave Podcast. I'm the Sandman and you are in for a treat. We have this year's Christmas special, or Sanguinalia special. We've done a lot about Sanguinius recently, so...
Never enough.
Well, joining me today, we have three incredible guests and one other one as well. So we have the Warhipster. How are you today, Josh?
I'm really good. I'm intrigued to know who's the incredible guests and who's the other one.
Well, any listeners who stay through to the end will find out. Okay. We have Quipster. I'm not saying it is you, but...
It's definitely me.
Yeah, I did go on to you straight after bringing that up. How are you today, Quipster?
I'm good. We're recording this at 11 o'clock on a Sunday morning, so I'm a bit bleary-eyed.
Just back from church, absolutely shattered. Well done, mate. Well done. And Adam, how are you today, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm nice and relaxed on Sunday morning. It's always good.
Cool. And now I get to welcome, for the first time to the podcast, Winters SEO. How are you today, Winters?
I'm lovely. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me. It's an honour. I want to thank my family and my agent and the Emperor of Mankind. They say dreams couldn't come true, but here I am. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, this is a treat for our listeners, both of you. Thank you so much for supporting us throughout this year.
Have we managed to get 2 listeners now?
I think we've got 2. We're on the road to 3.
One of them only listens for the first half an hour, and then they normally drop out. So technically 1.5.
Saying this, I think we should mention our biggest listener, Marie, or Newbie Paints on Instagram, who every single time we post, she'll put up a thing on Instagram and be like, "Oh my god, the Conclave!" So yeah, great to shout her out.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, we appreciate that. We have a fan.
I wish I was there to see her lose her mind at the mention.
I listened to one of your things as well, all the way through. It was delightful.
Oh, it's very kind.
Wait, but that's bad news. That means if Winters is the other listener, that means we only have one. Okay, cool. Well, okay, to kick things off, I am going to regale everybody with a wonderful Tory. Wonderful Tory? Wonderful Tory.
There are no wonderful Tories.
As we're all currently trapped inside of our houses, then yeah, I guess maybe not so much. But yeah, I will regale everybody with the story that is so magical, Black Library wouldn't even tell it to you. So it is the story of the first Primarch Secret Santa. Long before gatherings such as Ulanor or the Edict of Nicaea, the Primarchs were all gathered on Terra underneath the Imperial Palace, somewhere near the Webway Product. Magnus the Red was looking around thinking, God, this looks really strong, really sturdy. Nothing could ever damage a place like this. Horus was looking around at all the statues and getting really, really jealous for no fucking reason. And the Primarchs were told by the Emperor to gift each other presents for the very, very first time. So we're going to have a fun kind of segment here, guys, coming up with ideas for what we think the Primarchs should be given for a Secret Santa. So we're going to do this numerically, because then I get to talk about the lion straight away. We're going to go one by one. So, guys, what do you think is going to be the best gift for Lion L. Johnson?
I think the lion's the hardest one out of all of them.
Some catnip.
Some catnip.
It would be a nice, ironic joke, because obviously we all know he's not actually a cat. But if you're going to walk around being called Lion, let's get him. It's that or a shoelace on a stick. Is one of the two.
Whilst we're on the topic, I think it's important to point out that GW have now confirmed that the Lion is coming back next year. We know this from if you look at the advent calendar for the Rumor Engine. In fact, every single one of those does relate to the Lion. Number 1, for example, is a shoe, and the Lion very famously wears shoes in almost every book he's in. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, Ed spent most of the last of the days of Christmas as his advent calendar comes out, desperately trying to tell us how various sisters-looking stuff and undead banners are actually all part of the Lion model. But I'll be honest, it's a very compelling conspiracy, so I'm down for it.
Well, I can believe it, because for the longest time we knew the only Primarch where we knew where they was Guilliman. The other ones are missing in action. But since the last couple of latest Dark Angels codexes, they have confirmed that the Lion is in the rock. So he's the only other one now that we know where he is. The problem with the Lion is what time is he in, because of the time distortions, because of the Dark Angels miniseries and the connection with the all the backstory there with the Fallen.
Well, yeah, the Fall is not exactly been written yet. The original kind of lore is he actually gets sucked into the warp for a second before the fight ends. So God fucking knows what happened in that time. But yeah, there's also, I will say, whilst we're on the topic, yeah, they have advanced the Lion storyline incredibly far now. So, for example, like Winter says, they actually have confirmed things about the Lion's location, and they have released Luther from the Rock. There is no reason to do this unless you are gearing up to show the Lion back. So GW, wake up the fucking Lion. Just please. I'm trying to sleep. But I can't.
I was going to say, like, so my gift for him, I reckon you get him one of those, those like seasonal affective disorder lamps.
Yeah.
The ones that give like a nice sunrise, because then when he wakes up, because he's in the middle of the rock, right? It's all dark. He doesn't know what season it is. This will give him a nice way that he can like calmly wake up, and then he can go mental about the Fallen later.
Or just an alarm clock might be...
No. Better than an alarm clock. What we should get him is a Google Home device.
Oh, you and your shilling for Google bloody Home.
Iron Man over here, ladies and gentlemen, is incredibly proud. He was talking to me, Josh, and Adam about how incredible his new setup is in his new flat. We were like, what have you done? He was like, I've got a Google Home device in every room.
No, it's more than that, because what I wanted to do was I've also got like a Google phone. So my plan was you can do like keywords that you can say, and it will do like a whole bunch of actions. So like you could say into the phone, like, hey Google, I'm coming home. And it will like turn on the heating, turn on the lights, turn on the like TV. So it's Netflix, and so the fireplace on Netflix, put some light jazz on. So when you walk through the door, it's a nice experience.
Yeah, Winters' face right now sums up broadly our reaction to hearing about like the wannabe tech priest of Mars over here.
Is this sponsored by Google? I don't think he needs any more money.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know. I think Alex is desperately trying to get a sponsorship. I don't know what's going on.
Light jazz? Does it have to put on light jazz? Is it only light jazz when you come through the door? What about some Megadeth? What about some One Direction? I know you like One Direction. You look like one of them.
No. It's like jazz or Zayn, because he's gone solo now. One of the two, nothing else.
One Direction on his own.
There is only one.
Yeah, but I will say, Winters, never accuse us of shilling for sponsorship. I would never do that whilst I'm drinking this delicious cup of Nescafe coffee.
Nice.
Moving on, I guess let's do two Primarchs in one, because we know as much about one as the other. And that is number 2 and number 11, the two missing Primarchs. I don't know if we can get anything for them. Maybe this is a time before Russ has killed them. I don't know.
I mean, the only thing I think I know is...
Get him a Hoover to scare away the Space Wolves. That's what you do.
As far as I'm aware, the only thing I know that's confirmed about... I think it's the second Primarch. There's a bit in, I think... is it Jagatai or Jagati?
I've always said Jagati.
Bugatti.
Bugatti, yeah.
Bugatti Khan.
Yeah.
There's a bit in
The
his
Bugatti
Primarch.
He is very fast. So.
Yeah. There's a bit where in the Khan novel where he talks about the second Primarch. He's like, he's a bit quiet, isn't he? That's the only thing that's confirmed.
Well, Russ brags about killing a third Primarch after Prospero. So that's where people assume that he actually was the one who took out the second and the 11th. And also, there's a really, really, really cool story. I'm a massive Malcador fan, and there's an amazing short story where Horus, Alfarius, and Jagatai,
Bugatti Khan.
They go to Malcador after Malcador tells the servants of the Imperial Palace to start removing the faces of the second and 11th Primarch from statues and from paintings and whatever. And Horus absolutely outraged by this, because, as we all know, Horus actually did love all his brothers before falling, and he's like, him and Malcador almost come to blows. But we see the sheer magnitude of the power of Malcador, which is obviously outshone by the Emperor regularly, but it's so incredible to see that, because he deals with the Primarch so easily, and Jagatai actually brings this up in the Siege of Terror. And he points out that actually Horus has never forgotten this. And so Horus hates a lot of people, but he has a deep hatred for Malcador. So I do wonder whether that's going to come up again in Heresy, because it's such an awesome scene.
Well, Secret Santa then, if they're missing, you just get them a nice, like one of those sort of memorial park benches. Primarchs 2 and 11 love to sit here, or they hated this park and everyone in it. I don't know, whatever you fancy.
See, I feel like what would have happened is that Lorgar would have somebody like either second or the 11th would have drawn the lot for Lorgar, but Erebus would tell Lorgar that it was actually Guilliman that got him and then didn't get him anything, just to really kind of rev up that rivalry. So like everyone else would be opening a present and Lorgar wouldn't get anything, and Lorgar would be like, oh, that's rubbish. And then Erebus and Corferon would just be like, it was Guilliman who got you, my lord. You should learn his worlds.
So are we saying that the 2nd and 11th Primarch were here to give Secret Santa gifts and receive them? Are they there on this very first special day?
Yeah, I am saying that. So that is therefore canon.
So that's why the Sanguinalis has been redacted then from the Imperial records, because they were there.
That's it. That's exactly why. It all comes together. Number 3, as we all know, is the Quipster of the Primarchs, the beautiful Fulgrim. What do you get Quipster for Secret Santa, guys?
He gets a sandbox and a bucket and spade so he can build sandcastles, doesn't he?
That seems more like a Dawn present.
Get him a nice, like a smart mirror that talks back.
Those are cool.
See, there you go. Problem solved.
Done.
No, I think what you do is you get Fulgrim. Like there's that whole thing about his inability to understand what art is. So you just get him like a nice photo.
just get him like a Simon Sharma on art DVD series with him like sat there just watching him sort of walk around museums being like, the movement here in this painting, like that. Just him learning slowly about art.
I will say, actually, like Loyalist Fulgrim is easily my favorite Primarch ever.
Why?
He's such a lad. Like his Primarch novel was so good. It's like one of my favorite books, just like ever.
When I was going to say, has Quipster told you about his theory that Fulgrim should actually have a strong French accent?
Yeah, I think so.
I dread to think what that would be like in the audiobooks. Like, I mean, I love G-Dubs. If you're listening, you're probably not. I do like your audiobooks, but my God, I don't need to listen to Fulgrim and have some cod French accent.
Yeah,
they do have a history as well of choosing interesting accents for some of their characters.
I am the Primarch of the Third Legion.
There's a reason people didn't like Abaddon for quite a long time, because he's just fucking annoying.
We've been laughing quite a lot the last couple of days about the way that Mephiston has been voiced in the audiobooks, because he just seems to come out of nowhere with this weird sneer all the time. It makes me laugh every time I hear him, where he just goes, "Nah, I am Mephiston, the Lord of Death and Chief Librarian of the Blood Angels." And he always rolls his R's, but not all of them. So librarian comes out as librarian. It's like, what? What is this
like
voice you're doing?
He is like a sort of discount Skeletor, really, isn't he? He's just like, yeah.
I will consult with my brothers. What are you doing? And then you've got all the other Space Marines around that are just like imperious and all that kind of stuff. They always do it in the audiobooks. There is always one that just has they have to do it for like just so you understand what the difference in the characters is. But I always imagine all Space Marines to pretty much sound almost the same. But I get it from that perspective. But why do they always insist on doing a weird sneer for someone?
Well, as we've gone wildly off topic and we're doing the audiobook weirdness, the one I always rib Ed Sandman about is the Dark Angels Descent of Angels book, which is so really bad, because I listened to that. I was listening through the Horus Heresy. I listened to Descent of Angels. It put me right off the Dark Angels, even though they're objectively a really cool Legion / chapter. Because if you've listened to the audiobook of that, they spend the whole time just going, "Hello, Zahariel. Shall we go and kill the beasts of Caliban? why yes, Ezekiel, I think we shall. They just have all these like ludicrous, and nothing happens.
It is bad. I will give you that, and I think that's actually why they do this now, to have them all different. Because in that book, it is so hard to tell who's talking because the lion and Ezekiel and Zahariel sound exactly the same because they all sound exactly as Adam says. It is tough, that one.
See, this is like the thing that really gets me, because like when we talk about, there's always one character in the audiobooks that gets like the sneer. It's always Fulgrim, and I'm just like, why are you going to do him like that, guys?
But it works for Fulgrim. He's kind of a sneery guy, you know. No, that's what
he
he's
does
like.
think that he's better than everyone else.
Yeah, because he is. He's a Primarch.
If you had a friend who was obsessed with becoming perfect all the time, that would rib you a little bit, wouldn't it? It grind you down.
Unless you're that guy in the group, then it's fine.
All right, and now you'll understand why we make fun of you.
Yeah, and also to answer your question, Winters, we really don't know why he thinks Fulgrim is the best Primarch, given as he has a Custodes army and an Imperial Fists army.
They are purple, the Custodes, to be fair.
Given that Fulgrim as well is one of two only Primarchs to willingly fall to chaos.
Was it that willing? Was it?
Yes.
Lorgar and Fulgrim chose. The other ones were coerced, forced, manipulated in some way. Fulgrim just went, okay, let's do this.
No, come on. At the bit where spoilers. At the bit where like he's in front of Ferrus Manus and he's like about to do the deed. Like he gets that moment of clarity.
Wait, something happens to Ferrus Manus?
But he gets that moment of clarity where he's like, "Oh no, I've been manipulated. I don't want to like feel all this." And he like,
but then he's like, "Hey, I could get 4 arms to brush my hair more effectively. Yeah. I'm down for that."
It's not my fault that bit's really badly written.
I am sorry, Iron Hands fans, but like the fact that Ferrus Manus turns up with a wrench is like. It's the greatest thing. It's like, how did you expect to win that? When we get to Ferrus Manus, someone just give him a weapon, like anything, a dagger. Jesus Christ!
All of them were like, "Oh no, I've been manipulated," except for Lorgar. Lorgar was like, "Yay, let's do this." So they all pretend to say that, even the one, but Fulgrim chose. Yeah.
I don't think so. I think he was like horribly manipulated.
Or don't listen to the audio because clearly they're crap. I've got a revolutionary new idea for you. It's called Words on a Page. You should read them.
Yeah, but you're biased.
Is Google Home can't read out the words on the page. It can do the audiobook. That's the problem. In between the light chats.
Actually, I think you'll find that Google Home can read out web pages, so it could read the words on the page. Actually.
Interestingly, whilst we're talking about words on pages, I would like to just bring up the second rumor engine from GW in the Advent calendar, because it is, in fact, someone holding a book. And again, the lion is actually very famous
Jesus Christ.
for learning how to read. And that's actually how he reads all the previous stories he's been in, and why he refuses to learn from any of the lessons he has supposedly learned in any of them.
Okay, talking about bad writing, like
I'm beginning to suspect that you quite like Dark Angels.
He thinks they're crap.
Yeah.
No, he just loves the lion. That's it.
Right. Like Luther.
The
He'll
Legion
only
laid
let you down, you know. He has no empathy. He doesn't understand humans.
Yeah, the Dark Angels are a redemption story, and that is what I like the most about.
What, the fact that they've just not been redeemed at all for 10,000 years?
Well, but that's the thing. The story of 40k can never be finished. So it is. That's why 40k is so amazing, because like I will never see this. I will never see the Dark Angels be fully redeemed for their actions. But I will go to my grave believing they will do, and that is 40k, isn't it?
I look forward to the conversation you're going to have with your grandson, where you're like, yeah, keep listening to the audiobooks, boy. You'll learn the lion will redeem his.
I'll still be going on at him about how like the lion is coming back next year. 2092. That is our year, guys. Still just Gilliman. Cool. Okay, moving on. We have Perturabo. I think I have the best answer for Perturabo, because I'm going to do Perturabo and Dawn a bit together here. I think you get Dawn. You get Dawn Lego, because he loves to build, and then you get Perturabo Mega Blocks, which are just a slightly worse version of Lego.
There's not even a debate there. That would just be really funny.
I'm fine with that.
But the thing is, like, in I think it's Angel Exterminatus, it goes on about how essentially the Iron Warriors just play Warhammer with each other as like a form of tactical wargame simulation.
They have that big room on the is it the Iron Blood, their ship? They have that like huge room where they just have giant gaming tables and just play Warhammer all day.
And Perturabo has invented perpetual motion, and he has a perpetual engine, and it's in a miniature Warhound Titan, which is exactly the same size and scale as a Warhound Titan you could buy from Forge World.
Oh yeah, shit!
And he smashes it. He destroys the secret to perpetual motion.
GW does love to do that though in the books. Like there's one, I can't remember what book it is. There's a fantastic bit that in one of the books where they describe Space Marines being flown around, and the comparison is like they're flown around like models being thrown off a table. It's something like that, just so on the nose. It's absolutely brilliant. Okay, moving on. We have one that we now are not sure how to pronounce. I was really sure it was Jagatai before this podcast started.
Let's just call him Speedy J.
Or just call him the Khan. Everybody else calls him
Bugatti Khan. Got it.
What do we get the Khan?
A bike.
A bike?
No,
I
we
think he
get
has a bike.
A red laser pointer.
Surely that's a Rust present. Superb. Yeah. Okay. A red laser, but or like little, little dice you get to hang from like your window mirror if you like going really, really fast.
Or if he likes going fast, just get him some cocaine, just like a shitload of it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how much cocaine would actually benefit a Primarch.
So much.
I feel like
so
drug use on Primarchs is, apart from Fulgrim, probably is quite a limited deal.
Is there that bit in Scarface where he's just got like a massive pile of it on the table and he just like puts his face in it? Imagine that, but he just Jagatai puts his face in it and just sniffs all of it at once.
I mean, I feel like Jagatai would be better off with the dice, to be honest.
This Christmas story was originally intended for children.
I've just ruined it.
We have strayed from that. Okay, so superb. So now that we've retconned,
kids, if you're listening, don't buy drugs. Get your friends to give them to you.
Yeah. Or become the Primarch of the 5th Legion, and then apparently you just get those.
You just get them.
Or alternatively, becoming the 3rd Legion, where they just do this stuff all the time.
Fantastic. And moving on.
Their drug is light jazz. Are you kidding?
We've got Lehman of the Russ at number 6, the Space Wolves. So what do we get?
Squeaky Toy.
The Emperor's Hound.
Yeah, Chew Toy.
Squeaky Toy? Yeah. Okay. No, nice and straightforward. Sorry, Space Wolf fans. Number 7, we've got Rogue with Dawn with his Lego. And number 8, what do we get? The vampire that is Conrad Kurz.
Oh.
I feel like you get him a pet mouse, but you don't expect it to live.
A box set of Christopher Nolan's Batman series.
Yeah.
A dream diary, so he can write them down or something like that. His premonitions.
Or a dream catcher, so he can have a good night's sleep. I often wonder what Conrad Kurz would achieve if he had a good night's sleep.
Fake tan.
Just get him a hug. He needs it.
Yeah, to be fair.
I'm not sure you'd want to hug him. Like,
no, I didn't say I would do it. Like someone else, obviously.
I do love that idea.
Who is capable, other than the Emperor? I guess the Emperor could do it, but like, who is capable of giving the Conrad Kurz the hug that he needs?
Vulcan
didn't Dawn try that?
And
then
he got fucked.
It's funny you say that, actually, Josh. It's said that if the Emperor had met Conrad Kurz one more time, he would have cured his insanity. And maybe that's why he was just going to meet him and give him a hug.
Just like, it's okay. There.
Yeah.
Where is that said?
It's in his Primarch novel.
How is it?
Yeah, it's honestly, his Primarch novel is top 3 of the ones that have come out, easily.
Yeah. Although, actually, now that you've said that, Josh, I want to talk about something, just a massive tangent, but I thought it was really interesting. And I sent it to you guys because I was fascinated by this, because I have heard it loads of times. And this was it was actually a long Reddit thread. I was so fascinated by it. But basically, there was a fact in 40k, which was that Constantine Valdor, the leader of the Emperor's Custodes, had beaten Horus Lupercal in an sparring match, and this was a fact. And when I say it was a fact, that's because I had heard it loads of times. It was mentioned a lot by like YouTubers and other podcasters and things like that. And it was supposedly why Horus Lupercal respected Constantine Valdor so much. And I'm pretty certain even Quipster mentioned it to me at some point. And it was like, and it was an accepted fact in 40k. And then somebody was like they read this on the wiki, and they're like, wow, that's fascinating. That's really, really cool. Where does that happen? And they looked into it, and it doesn't come up in any book. And they were like, huh. That's really weird. Why would that come up? And it actually turned out that this came about because what actually happened was Leman Russ beat Horus in an aspiring match. And that was and then Constantine Valdor then liked Leman Russ because of that. But there was a typo in the Lexicanum page, and it actually said that Constantine Valdor beat Horus, and therefore that became canon for like years. And loads of people believe this is like a pretty established fact. 40k at this point, and it never happened. It's never been written. And I was like, isn't that fascinating that can happen? I wonder how many things that could happen for. Maybe the Lion. Maybe the Dark Angels are loyal. We don't actually know. Could just be. Could
Spoiler alert: they're not.
Yeah.
Alfarius actually doesn't exist. He just doesn't. It's made up entirely.
Omegon does though. It's fine.
Yeah.
So right, can I count to 20? Yes, probably. Number 9, I think, is what we're up to now.
Sanguinius.
Sanguinius. Do we know any Blood Angels fans? Well, I think he's a hard one. Unless the Emperor is giving the gifts, in which case the Emperor gives Sanguinius a much better gift than everybody else.
Yeah, but like, what would that be?
But it's like I can't remember where it is that it happens, but like basically, all the description of them is that they've basically like, even in like Devastation of Baal, they've just got like massive bowls full of rubies and stuff. There's nothing shiny that you can get a Blood Angel that they don't already have a million of. So I think for like Sanguinius, you have to get him something like, what do you give the man that has everything? Do you know what I mean? Like,
the thing is that you'd have to get him something sentimental, because he'd be like, "Oh, guys, thanks so much," and he'd be like super heartfelt about it.
What, like the first $1 that they made at their Legion shop?
No, it'd have to be something like a nice framed picture of all of the Primarchs together, like something super sentimental, like
something
that.
So wholesome like that, and everyone would be like,
exactly.
Sanguinius.
And he'd just be like, oh, guys, that's so nice of you, and he'd be like super authentic about it. And then Kurz would be in the background, just like sneering at him.
Winters, what about you? What do you get? What do you get? The Great Angel.
So I don't know Sanguinius. He's a difficult one to buy for, isn't he?
This is what happens when people don't play Warhammer. It becomes very difficult to buy them presents. Can all the Primarchs please start using the wishlist page on the Games Workshop website, because this would make this game a lot easier.
Dude, he is as hard to buy presents for as my mum is. And I think I told you guys the story about the roses with my mum.
It's all right. I know exactly what I'm getting your mum, so it's fine.
So, like, I'm going to say the story because it's kind of funny. Like, my mum is notoriously difficult to buy things for, because you can't buy her anything sentimental, because she'll just be like, "Oh, how much did you pay for this?" And you'll say, and she'll be like, "Is that all I'm worth to you?" And then, yeah, brutal, right?
that was us covering Quipster's mum, the second Primarch.
She's the lost Primarch of the Second Legion.
That would be so funny. Who's number 10?
So you bought her a tin of roses or something?
Oh, no. So basically, my mum's birthday is January 1st. And so...
So 2 tins of roses. One for Christmas,
worse than
one for
that.
birthday.
Oh, so much worse than that. So basically, we were watching the fireworks one year, and my dad came down the stairs with this massive bouquet of pink roses. And, as the fireworks are going on TV, hands them to my mum, goes, "Happy birthday, darling, and Happy New Year." My mum turns to him and then goes, "They're pink. You get your girlfriend pink roses, and you get your wife red roses. Take them back and get me red ones."
Wow.
And so, yeah.
Wow.
My mum is hard to buy presents
She
for.
knows what she wants.
Yeah, she does.
That's a high maintenance lady, that right there.
When you linked it to Sanguinius and you were like, "Yeah, I'll tell you why my mum's hard to buy," I thought you were going to say like, "Yeah, because she too is like an 8 foot tall super being created in a lab by the Emperor."
1 minute. Did any of you know that there is a rule for buying colours of roses for women? Because I'm 47 and I've just been schooled, yo.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that either.
What?
So did my dad, apparently.
Winters, I've heard your wife is on the edge because, like, she's just had to go through this for years and years.
Yeah, I mean, who cares? It's roses, right? Here's some roses. Have some roses. They're lovely. I got you roses. They're the wrong color. What the F? I guess.
Oh, my mum cares. My mum cares very deeply.
So when can you buy like black roses?
You can't.
Jesus.
She'd throw them at you.
If your girlfriend's a goth,
Yeah.
Oh,
If
that would go down super
comrade,
well.
if your girlfriend's comrade Kurz, you buy her some black roses and it's fine.
Oh my god, yeah. Forget the hug. Just get him the black roses. Done.
And what's with the roses anyway? Like you give roses to someone and then they die. I mean, I don't understand that either.
what, the person?
You've got to give the women something that they really can use, like some hair straighteners or some pans or something, I think.
Actually, hair straighteners is a great shout. Get that for Kurz.
Get that for Sanguinius.
I mean, I offered to buy my wife a new set of pots and pans for Christmas because the old ones are looking a bit janky, but she said no for some reason.
Although, actually, to be fair, in your defense, Winters, like, your wife is an exceptional cook. So
I
that's
know.
actually quite a very thoughtful present.
That's
Like,
why
that
I'm
makes
so
sense.
Yeah, Quipster was obviously like absolutely delighted when he first got to play you Winters on the channel. But the main thing he did mention was how good a cook your wife was. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's what Liam says as well. He only comes here for the cooking.
Literally.
All right, brilliant. Well, number 10 is a sad halfway point. I know Adam has a devastating answer to this
Oh,
question
no.
because it is Ferrus Manus, the Iron Hands, at number 10. Adam, what's your answer?
Oh yeah, I said just buy him like a hat. Ironically,
Too soon, man. Too soon.
Too soon. It hasn't even happened.
He's not dead at this point, right? We could give him a nice little hat he can wear, maybe a nice tool set. I don't know. Yeah, weapon. Seriously though, I reckon a weapon. Rather so he doesn't have to bring like a spanner to a gunfight.
Jesus Christ, I never got that. Yeah.
Oh, or Meccano.
But surely he'd prefer like the raw materials to build his own Meccano set.
Just buy him a lump of steel.
Yeah.
Just hand over this incredibly heavy box, and he's like, "Oh, what's in here?" Opens it up, and it's just like steel rebar. And you're like, "There you go, happy Christmas."
Do with that what you will, my friend.
Alternatively, he is the one that you get coal for, so he can like compress it with his hands into diamonds.
Oh, cool. That's a great answer. I like that. All right, brilliant. I think we nailed that. On to number 11, who doesn't
12.
exist. Yeah, so on to number 12. Let's go. So who is number 12? Oh, we have the Primarch of the World Eaters, the very, very angry Angron.
Stress
So
ball.
Stressful.
Yeah, a planet-sized stress ball.
Yeah. More captains for him to kill. Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Just get him some ibuprofen and call it a day.
Yeah. True.
Get him one of those, like those. I don't know if you guys seen this. They have those, those cows that get really well looked after in Japan that make like the Wagyu beef, and they have that kind of big. They have this big round kind of thing that's like a big spinning thing that the cows kind of walk up against that gives them a massage because they believe it like creates the meat better. Well, Angron in his like demon form is basically like kind of a big bull, right? Because he's this kind of big bull-headed thing. Get him one of them; it will chill him out, just calm him down.
So your idea to get the demon Primarch Angron is a massaging machine.
A cow massager. Yeah, be fine. What could go wrong?
Nothing. I see nothing wrong with that.
I see no issues with this plan.
Just like urge to kill rising.
And you know what? And you know what's amazing about Angron? To be fair about this, is that he is very angry, but he's very grateful. Primarch. He always says thank you like that. He's got good manners.
Oh yes, famously polite.
Yeah, exactly. So on to number 13. It is our Lord and Savior. It is Rabute Gilliman.
A Microsoft 365 power user subscription.
Yeah,
So he can do his Excel. He can organize things. It'd be great.
Yeah, you get like a really disorganized Excel sheet, and he just sorts it out.
He'd be like,
loves it.
We've given you command of a departmento, and it's absolutely it's chaos in there, and it just needs sorting out, mate. You can write a book about how to do it. You can come up with all the processes from A to B. That is your gift, mate. You go right ahead. Here is the deed. That's
I
what
mean,
you...
arguably, that's exactly what's just happened with the Imperium. They're just giving him this disorganized mess and be like, there you go.
Yeah, he got the greatest gift of all, everything.
Yeah, they were like, there's a stapler, there's some pie charts. You go wild, mate. You go wild.
Okay, well, I think we've nailed that. On to his very, very smelly brother, Mortarion. What do we get, Mortarion?
Based on what I've seen in the gift section of my local Tesco, I reckon we get him one of them Lynx Africa box sets with the shower gel.
Yes.
So he could smell like the average British teenager.
Yeah, you can smell like me in about 2001.
Oh, good lord! I feel like the only person as a teenager that never used Lynx Africa. It was always about one I used Lynx Phoenix. So that was cool.
And yet another link to Fulgrim. The prophecy has been foretold. There we go.
Fantastic. Okay, so number 15, the man who is going to destroy or attempt to destroy the setting in which the Primarchs are now based, Magnus the Red. What do we get? The Cyclops.
A monocle.
Yeah, monocle. Yeah.
Or an ironic pair of sunglasses.
I've got it. You just get him a phone. Because if he could have just called the Emperor, he would have saved himself an absolute crap ton of effort. That's what you get him. You just get him.
I think.
Yeah, and again, we don't shield for sponsorship on this program, but we do get him one of the very, very low price tariffs with Talk Mobile, which comes with 1,000 free minutes. So yeah, you can get him that.
Well, surely, what you do if you're thinking ahead as well, and it's a really cheap gift. I mean, get him the phone by all means, but get him like a couple of corks, right? Because he's got those big kind of nipple horns, and I feel like if he's walking around on the planet of the sorcerers, he's probably poking like other, like Ahriman is about that height, knocking around on his disc. He's probably poking him in the eye. Just put a couple of corks on the end. He's not going to hurt anyone.
I never thought about that. He'd definitely have someone's eye out with those things, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
that is at head height.
It's very impractical.
Maybe that's what, get him like a file so he can file them down a little bit. File his nipple horns down.
I believe on day one induction, they tell you that not to stand within COVID regulations, but they tell you not to stand within 6 feet of him in case Magnus turns quickly from revelation.
What?
Just imagine the meeting of the Demon Primarchs. It's ow, Magnus, stop.
Induction 101. Here's the fire evacuation procedure. This is Stacy from accounts and stay 6 feet from Magnus.
I love it.
I tell you what, though, these things, they do have one practical use, right? Which is they're kind of upturned. So when he's coming back from like a big shop, he can carry stuff in his hands and hang stuff on them as well, and just wander down.
I'm only making one trip.
Yeah.
I also sometimes think it's like, imagine like he's like, I don't know, like doing like the cooking or something, and he just like needs to hold. He's only got 2 arms, so he's just like, oh, just hang on, I'll just put that one on there and I'll keep going until I'm there, and then just put that one on there. Right, cool. Now I can do 4 things at once. Then I can, like, imagine making a sandwich, right?
Winters has been married to Magnus the entire time.
Nice.
I feel sorry for Ahriman when he like walks into the Tower of the Sorcerers into the like canteen, and he just Magnus just turns around and he's got a pair of potatoes stuck on the end of his and he's like, "My lord, what are you doing?" He's like, "Don't look at me.
I was just cooking."
I love that idea though, that like in the Eye of Terror they have really mundane things. Like
They must do, right?
There's a canteen.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, well, moving on, we have the arch traitor himself, Horus Lupercal. So I'm going to hand over to Josh here, because one of the hardest thing I've ever laughed when talking about Warhammer was hearing Josh's description of what is, quite frankly, the incredibly petty reason that Horus fell to chaos. So I think we have to get Horus' statue. And Josh, do you want to explain why?
As far as I can make out in the book, the reason that he decides to burn the entire of the Imperium to the ground is because he is shown a vision of the future where there isn't a statue of him. There are statues of his loyalist brothers, which he doesn't know are loyalist brothers, but there isn't a statue of him. And he's like, do you mean I go to all this trouble and they don't even erect a statue? Like, even bloody Ferris has got one in this one village. Yeah. So he goes, do you know what? I'm going to burn the whole thing to the ground and kill my dad. is the biggest overreaction to not having a statue that anyone has ever had. It would be like Nelson being resurrected and just like heading, coming into Portsmouth and being like, now hold on. There's no Nelson statues here in Portsmouth. I'm going to burn England to the ground. And then arriving at London and just being like, oh, there it is. Well, egg and my face are in alignment now, aren't they? Well, it's too close. It's done too much now. Where's the Prime Minister? It is so stupid. And then, like... Doesn't he? I can't even remember. I think I've blocked most of it out. Like, isn't like isn't it is it Cedere his favorite is
Janus?
Oh, not Janus.
I think it is Janus.
Sejanus.
Oh, Sejanus.
Yeah. Okay, and obviously, doesn't he figure out that the Sejanus is like Erebus or something? He figures out that it's not Sejanus, and he's just like. And then his brother turns up and goes, by the way, it is me. And he goes, yeah, no, I recognize that it is you. But I don't know if you know this, Magnus, but there aren't any statues of us in this town in the future after we've done all of this. So I'm seriously considering murdering Dad. What do you think?
He's like, don't do that.
It aggravates me so much. And I know they try and dress it up a little bit more as it goes on, but that book is still basically saying... Look, there is no statues of you in the future. You're right.
I think that's genius for comedic effect and so wrong. But because comedic genius is so genius, I will not refute you. We want to let that one stand. That's good. I like it.
Can you refute me afterwards? I'd love to know.
Yes, I'll come around and punch you. Where's your address?
I'm only up in Cheltenham. I'm not far away from you.
There wasn't a statue. How dare you? The poor man. He was doing so much stress. There was a whole thing. The Interrex. A planet called Murder. A moon of Davin. A thing with a stab with a blade. There was a lot of stuff going on there. He had issues. Okay.
Yeah,
going through a lot at the time.
Okay, so
he had a lot on his plate. Okay,
so what we're saying then is that he was basically under a lot of workplace stress, and then he was shown a vision where there wasn't a statue of him, so he decided to kill his dad.
Did he not think there would be stress in the role as War Master? That's my question for him. Like he does seem very, very stressed out by it. But like he met all of his brothers, and then he becomes their boss, and he's like, I think they're dicks. I think we've lost Adam.
Yeah, what happened there?
Bye, Adam.
Yeah, I mean he actually ardently disagrees with Josh on this point. So he
does he?
He's so annoyed that he has in fact left.
Yeah.
I thought the breakdown was genius. It's really good. I like it. He showed a statue. There's a whole comedy sketch there in a comedy club somewhere exclusively made up of 40k patrons who know the law inside and out. There's a 5-minute skint that you could do there, which will have people rolling around on the floor, because it's really good. But it's comedy. It's comedy. It's not real.
It's like how everybody says the lion's a traitor, and it's just a joke. It doesn't kill me on the inside. It's really funny. I really like it.
It's funny. I promise.
It doesn't even. I don't even cry anymore. It's fine. Yeah. Oh, Adam is back.
Now it's recording again.
Yeah.
Now it's recording for all of us. Yeah.
It's almost like I was playing with the technical issues here. That's how bad the production value of this is. Are we recording now? Is that what we're recording?
We are. We are recording now, so we can kick off again.
And so what we've discovered is that Adam needs better internet.
Yep. If anyone would like to sponsor the podcast and get me better internet, I'm fine with that.
I'm sure you dropped out of Warzone once or twice while we were playing as well.
Yeah.
Never leave a man behind, man. Never leave a man behind.
Unless you're Adam.
Pressure is on, and suddenly
Verdansk is a cruel place. You gotta. Sometimes you just gotta make decisions, right?
Yeah.
Fuck all you guys, I'm out.
Where were we?
We were about to get to everyone's favourite religious zealot, and that is Lorgar Aurelian. What do we get Lorgar Aurelian, guys, for Secret Santa? I think there's a few options here.
a rope so he can hang himself.
Fuck, that was dark.
Wow, that was dark. Okay.
Saved us all the trouble.
Okay. Tra la 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 la.
Happy Christmas, everyone. I was going to get him one of them, you know, them like Dorling Kindersley, like the DK books you have when you're a kid, like Guide to World Religions. Just get him one of them. He can go crazy. You can pick a better one than the Chaos Gods.
A book on like how to keep your employees in line or something like that, because he does. Yeah, they don't listen to him so much.
Ever. No, I mean, the thing about Lorgar is I quite like him as a character.
Of course you do.
What? No, he's very interesting.
You collect nothing but loyalist armies, and yet all your favourite characters are all the chaos ones.
Fulgrim, Lorgar.
Hey, no, I like loyalist. I like loyalist Fulgrim, and like Lorgar, I think is a very tragic figure because like
what? Because he goes a bit crazy because Daddy knocked his church planet down.
Kind of, yeah, and like. Yeah, like the whole relationship between him and Gilliman as well is like super tragic because in his mind he's got this whole thing that like, oh, Gilliman hates me and he's out to get my legion, where he just doesn't.
Yeah. And
like there's the bit in I think it's the Gilliman Primarch novel where he goes, oh, my brilliant brother Lorgar, like we've got to do something about you. He like has respect for like great respect for him, but Lorgar just does not know this, and it's just such a tragedy.
There is a good relationship, but it's good because Gilliman is awesome. It's nothing to do with Lorgar.
Lorgar's just an ass. It's all he is. He's just an ass. He spends the entire time disobeying his dad's orders. And then when his dad finally tells him off for it, he goes, well, screw you. I'm going to keep doing it, but different.
I find my own gods with blackjack and hookers.
All the Primarchs have their flaws, but Lorgar is the only one who's truly evil. He makes decisions that are bad, and he knows they're bad, and does it anyway. He is an ass.
Yeah,
I think he's just misunderstood, personally.
Because you're secretly a chaos lover.
I'm not secretly. I have Custodes.
We can see you come out of Narnia, come out of the closet. You're a chaos lover. We see you there. You keep talking about how much you love them. Lorgar's an ass.
Is the reason that you build everything in sub-assemblies, is it because you paint little 8-pointed stars underneath all of the cakes and stuff?
I love it.
So to you can be like, I've got chaos custodes.
Oh my god, no. Could never do that.
I would buy Lorgar any decent philosophy book, like the Dummy's Guide to Philosophy.
Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Any basic philosophy book will blow apart his reasons for religion in there. They're really GCSE O-level grade basic philosophy of religion stuff. He's supposed to be a Primarch. The thing that really, really, really annoys me about Lorgar, more than the chaos things and more than the stuff, is his thinking when it comes to religion is A equals B equals C, the end. There's no nuance. There's no depth to it. It is really, really, really bad. Go on. Listen, what you should get is a TED Talk with Sam Harris on it, so you can have a good listen, and that'll blow apart. And we need to get to some depths here. We need to get about the conflict between faith and knowledge, not just religion and science, but faith and knowledge. There's layers that he just doesn't get to. I think that's ADB's fault, though. That's the first Horus Heresy book that ADB wrote was...
Betrayer, I think, wasn't it?
But no, it wasn't. It was the Lorgar book, which everyone loves.
Oh, First Heretic. Oh, yeah, you hate that one, don't you?
It's the only Horus Heresy book that I have not finished. I've read the Horus Heresy all the way through twice. I've read the first section of books all the way through about 7 times, and I've read Imperium Secundus sequence all the way through about 7 times. I've not finished the First Heretic. I've managed to get to about halfway through, but it's so poorly written. The hero characters, not the hero characters, the Imperium characters are so cartoon villain-esque and so basic and so stupid. Malcador, the Emperor, and the Ultramarines make the worst decisions possible in order to... They're plot devices. That irritates the crap out of me. The philosophy of religion hates the crap out of me. And Lorgar is irredeemable because he's just a bad guy. I can't finish that book. I've tried multiple times, and I know some people quote it as the best book ever in the Horus Heresy series, but I can't finish it. It's terrible.
So basically, watch him peel open The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins and just lose his mind.
Yes, exactly. Give him a proper countenance to his religious theory. And but even then, if you gave something like that to Lorgar, I don't think he would even bother following it, because he knows what he knows and that's it. And screw everyone else, including the Emperor, including Malcador, including his own legion. The Chaos Gods say, this is what we're going to do to your legion. This is what they tell him to his face. And he goes, okay. You're God. Do it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and it's nice to have it confirmed by someone who's got skin in the game, as it were. Like the problem with Lorgar is he is a Primarch, right? And all Primarchs are supposed to be super genius.
Yeah,
and Lorgar acts like an idiot.
It's an idiot.
Yeah, there is a lot of that. Yeah.
Like I get it. You can have an idea, and you can sometimes get overtaken by that idea. But if you are also a genius, if someone was to present the other side of the argument, you would consider it in equal measure, and you would realize that there is a different outcome to that previous idea, particularly in the instance of religion. Whereas he sits there and says the Emperor is divine being, he is a god, and the only person that Lorgar respects, and the only person that Lorgar respects says, no, I'm not, stop it, this way leads to bad things happening. And he goes, no, I disagree with you, Dad. I'm going to go and listen to my old dad, who I don't like, who I hate, and I'm gonna because it's that stupid thing of no, but there has to be a god. No, there doesn't. Yeah, like that, and that is what the person who you have held up as God is telling you. So listen to him.
Can I just say, on terms of sponsorship, we were this close to getting one from Black Library, and you guys have just fucked it.
It's all right though. We for a while there we potentially had the Mormon Church as well, but I think we screwed that one as well. I mean, it's funny how he is just like, yeah, as you say, the Emperor's like, don't religion bad, don't do religion, and he's just like, yeah, but Planet Daddy wrote book, Letitia Divinatus. Like it's just
It always gripes me, like you say, Josh, when. It's tough because you always expect the Primarchs to be playing 4D chess. The problem is if you constantly and it just goes for any book like this, if you constantly describe a character as a genius and then they do dumb shit, you just go, well, he's not though, is he? Like my Primarch, and this is going to start an argument, so I won't get into it, but is Rust, who they constantly describe him as a genius, and he does such dumb shit. And
he does stupid shit all the time.
And like, I do think if we did Secret Santa and Conrad Kerr's got him, I definitely think he would get him like a dummy's guide to being a Primarch. I can't remember the exact quote, but basically Corvus basically nearly kills Lorgar, and it probably one of your favourite bits of the heresy, I imagine, Winters. And then Conrad Kerr saves him, and basically he's just like, yeah, he says what all the fans are thinking, which is that you're just a bit shit, mate, to be honest.
Let's move on from Lorgar, because I hate him.
Before Quipster gets time to speak, let's move on.
Before Quipster defends Lorgar and says how he's a pure noble soul and how he should be everybody's favourite Primarch because of the sad things that happened to him, which were completely avoidable because he's a dick.
He's just misunderstood.
He's had some things that happened to him that were bad.
Him and his Bird Wearers Legion can go and get in the sea. Let's move on.
Let's move on then from the most despicable to the most wholesome of the Primarchs, which is Vulcan. What do we get, Vulcan? I think I have an answer for this, and that is a guide for how to actually write a treasure hunt, because he seems to not understand how treasure hunts work, because importantly, you have to give them some clues. You can't just say, you guys are doing a treasure hunt and give them no information.
Well, okay, you got to explain that for people who aren't Salamanders fans. Like, what's this hunt of which you mentioned?
Well, as Winter says, all of the loyalist Primarchs are lost, essentially, and Guilliman was one of those, except Guilliman was on Macragge, and it was all the idea for decades was that he was slowly healing, and all of the Primarchs had this. We had Leman Russ returning at the Wolf Time. The Lion would come to redeem the angels. Sanguinius and Varys are just dead, to be be fair. But like, there's always those kind of things. And Vulcan's thing was that he would return once the salamanders found all of the treasures of Vulcan, and they have found some, but he didn't tell them what they were or where they were or give them any clues. He's also quite shit at it, apparently, because loads of them were in the same place, which was a very interesting decision. And then the rest of them are out there somewhere, and we have no idea what they are.
But this is Vulcan, and he's very wholesome. So you just know at the end of it when he comes back, and they're like, "My lord, we did not find all of the treasure." He goes, "The real treasure was the friendships you made along the way." They're like, "Oh, that's so nice. He's back."
I love it. I love it.
That is such a Vulcan thing to say.
Oh, I don't know. Like a nice hammer or something. He likes to do a bit of blacksmithing.
I feel like whatever you get him,
He's grateful.
It'll be like, it's the thought that counts, and actually believe that.
I now have an image of that viral. I think it was a Vine from a few years ago. That viral video of the kid with the avocado at Christmas. It'd be like that, but with Vulcan just opening it up, just be like, "Oh, an avocado, thanks."
Thing is, Vulcan is the one you could just be like, "And for Christmas, I got you a hug," and he'd be like, "Yeah, cool, hugs."
And he'd crush you.
Yeah.
I think my favorite moment in the Heresy is in the last Salamanders novel when he finally makes it back to Terra, and he just gives Dawn a hug. He's so happy to see him.
Even Dawn is happy. Yeah.
And Dawn is so happy to see him that they just have a little cuddle. And it's it's so wholesome. You can just end the Heresy there, I think. It ends on a nice upward beat.
It's even better than that, though, because like just before that, Vulcan says to Dawn, like, "I know physical affection isn't your way, so I'll give you a stiff handshake." So he gives him a handshake, and then he hugs him, and Dawn's like, "Ugh!" Like freezes for a second, and then slowly hugs him back. He's like, "Oh, okay, this is quite nice."
I cried my ass off. That was great. Probably because I was reading it rather than this audio thing that you keep speaking of, where you make up your own sounds with the voices in your head. I was there with them. I cried like a
in the audio, but he's like, "Hello, would you like a hug, Dawn?" "Yes, I would. That's lovely."
Winters, if you can't tell from this podcast, I don't do words good, so I will not be reading them. Great. Well, let's move on. Somewhere at the Secret Santa, and nobody can tell where exactly because he's invisible, is Corvus Corax. So what do you get? What do we get? The Raven.
Some glitter.
My Chemical Romance, the best of 2005 to 2011.
Yes.
Just give us some mascara. Just go with this look.
Yeah.
A gift voucher to like somewhere in Camden, so you can go and buy some nice new threads. Like I did when I was a 15-year-old emo.
Oh my god, I remember that.
Oh, superb. Okay, brilliant. And last but not least, whoever does draw number 20 is a bit fucked because you actually have to get 2 presents, which is a bit late.
But you don't know that. None of them know that, do they? Only some of them know that there's 2 of them.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Dawn knows.
Dawn figures it out, but he didn't know it to begin with.
The thing is there really 2 of them? Maybe there's 20 of them.
We will never know.
Yeah. Shock horror twist. There's actually 20 of them. Maybe there's thousands of them. Maybe they really all are Alfarias and they just need to be encoded with the Primarch matrix, so to speak, to be the Alfarius at the time.
That. That's quite cool. Yeah.
Ooh, that is cool.
To turn those genes
Scary.
on, to turn that thing on, so any one of them could be the Primarch at any time.
As cool as that is, though, Winters, it does make them very difficult to buy for. What do you get them?
Well, you got to get them because there's loads of them. You got to get them like a game they can all participate, like Kaplunk or something.
Nice.
Get them some invisible ink and a lamp.
Cluedo, surely. Just Cluedo. But it's like, is it Alfarius? Yes. Oh, game over.
Yeah, no. Who's who, but they're all the same face. Is he bold? Yes. Oh, God. Okay, well, there is no 21st Primarch that we know of, so that concludes the epic tale of Primarch Secret Santa. The Primarchs afterwards all went off with the Emperor's blessing, and nothing bad ever happened. So let's move on. So we're obviously going to talk a little bit about 2020 because, fun story, it is still 2020. So guys, I think let's talk about our favorite achievements of 2020. Quipster, you've painted like 3-4 models, so
yeah, I mean, genuinely, this is like a really big deal for me. I've never ever had a fully painted 2,000 point army, and so literally, I think it's like the 6 or 7 models that I painted this year for my Custodes means that I have 2,500 points of Custodes.
It's really cute. It's really cute. I just find it so adorable.
Just gesturing behind you to your those blood angels, that red carpet that's sat on the shelf there.
I mean, to be fair, if Winters like moves the camera to see all of the painted stuff on his shelves, I'll be over here with my like 40 models. But like that's been the big thing for me. And also I've painted like 1,500 points of Imperial Fists, and that has been pretty incredible for me because I've just been smashing through it.
The thing is, I do have to say this because we do like to make fun of Quipster a bit, but I am incredibly proud of you, Quipster. Like, genuinely, it makes my heart really warm that you've actually managed to paint an army. I think that's incredible. Well done.
Yeah, man.
I'm very happy with it.
Well done. It is always good to reach those headier heights where most people who are 14 and in this hobby have reached.
Winters currently opens up an Excel doc to look to restructure the DZTV team. Let's move on to the legal department. Adam, outside of having to deal with numerous lawsuits that people have filed against us, mainly for slanderous comments about Black Library books, what else are you incredibly proud of or happy about with 2020?
I've pretty much finished sort of 2 whole armies this year. So the Sisters of Battle and the Necrons as well, coming out of Indomitus. And it's they're looking, I don't know, they're looking quite good. I've sort of put some pictures on my Instagram, I'm just really happy to sort of get them up and running. The sad thing, of course, is there's been no. I say there's been no tournaments this year. This year seems like it's gone on for an incredibly long time because I looked back. We were talking the other day about what we've done this year and how many models we've painted. This is where sort of Alex was scaling up his 6 models or whatever. No, kidding.
I painted 55 this year.
Nice, but yeah, like Winter Warfare, the London Wargaming Guild tournament was actually in February of 2020, which I sort of assumed it was in 2019 because 2020 was the year of Nurgle's plague, and therefore we hadn't been allowed to sort of see anybody for a whole year. But it's been a journey, and then there's been 9th edition. That's been really cool. I just want to play more of it now.
I think also, Adam, kind of what your hobby journey this year. I actually think. I'm sure, Quipster, you're going to agree with this too. It's been actually amazing to watch you, Adam, because one of my favourite things about you this year has been your love of the Adeptus Sororitas develop, because this was a faction that none of us really knew, and then they released the rules, and you've just become so enamoured with them, and it's just been so fun to watch because we spend so much time on House Party, and then you'll just be like, and they do this. And another thing, they're so cool.
Yeah, they are really cool, both in lore and in rules. And they are, this is for you, Quipster, with your love of lore. They are a type of religious zealot that it's okay to like.
And the other thing is also, I think, is your painting, because your painting is now seriously good. We were the shit painters, and now you've left me. You've left me. Like, what the fuck?
I'm still pretty bad. I've just moved on from the sort of stick figures that I originally was able to paint onto just grey plastic. So it's progress.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I should give some credit there. Well, the Silent King especially was I followed Josh's tutorial, and he's come out looking pretty bloody dope, if I do say so myself. So he's good. He's good.
For those who don't know, www.youtube.com/warhipster.
Good effort, mate. That was a solid 6 out of 10.
Yeah, we'll do our genuine sponsorships at the end. we're gonna get DZTV in there. We were gonna get Warhipster in there, but then you've just blown your load early. It's just,
I've jumped the gun.
And after the last conversation we had about it, you told me I was not allowed to mention it more than give the URL more than once per episode. So now when we get to the end, you're going to ask me where you can find me, and I'm going to have to tell you Cheltenham.
Fantastic. Well, let's move on then, Josh, to you. So what's your thing from 2020 or things that you're really, really happy about?
2020 has been interesting for me because we all know that I paint very fast. So last year I painted 425 models, and this year I've painted 345,
Jesus.
which is a bit of a climb down, which I was disappointed about. But Alice, my partner, who I moved in with, which is a big achievement for me this year, because I've never lived with a girl in a romantic fashion before.
Don't get that cooties.
I'm riddled with them now. So yeah, the thing that I was disappointed when I was like, oh, I didn't hit my same target. And then I remembered that, like, I've done a lot of big stuff this year, like Techless and the Silent King and Bundo Whalebiter, the Mega Gargant, Kraken Eater Mega Gargant. And I've done a hell of a lot of videos, tutorials for YouTube, which for me is quite a big achievement. I think I'm now over 80 video painting tutorials, which is really just... I never thought I'd have the time or the confidence actually really to do it. And I think the response that I've been getting from them has just been so positive that I'm really quite humbled by it in some ways. And also it's massively gone to my head. So I think I'm the greatest painter of all time. With contrast. And even then I know that that's not true. Juan Hidalgo, if that's I think that's his name.
That's his name.
Yeah. As I say, should we not preview there the fact that we are going to put this to the test in the new year, when there will be a competitive bit of man on man hardcore painting between Quipster and Warhipster as to who can paint the best. Well, you're doing Lysander, right, Quipster? You're doing Lysander. Yeah, I was going to say, do you know what you're going to do?
Yeah, I'm going to do Sanguinius on his.
Oh, for God's sake.
On his diorama base. No, I'm not going to do that. That wouldn't be fair. I actually don't know. We keep saying Dante.
I think you should do Dante.
Yeah, do Dante.
Lysander versus Dante. That'd be amazing.
I mean, it's no contest, is it? Dante would wipe the floor with him.
I mean, that is not true on any level.
Wow. There is a 3-up invent to consider.
There is a 3-up invent to consider. I don't know. I'm also contemplating maybe picking up Sigismund and just showing you how to do it properly.
That would be epic.
Oh, that would not be okay.
I was going to say, Winters, this is a bit like our version of your biggest boss competition with Mini Wargaming Dave. This is our sort of cut price little version of that. We're doing it with like Imperial fists.
No, Quipster told me all about it. He was very excited. It's like, oh, look what happened to me. Yeah, he's very excited, and he thinks he's going to win easily. He said that Josh character he's just a pretender. He's just a joke.
Yeah.
And he's going to take him to big boy school and give him a wedgie.
That's what he said that to me as well.
That is a verbatim quote of what I said.
Yeah. I also liked when you said that I should do Dante and I should still put him on the 25mm base, and that you had then also ordered a pre-cut resin base for yours. And quite frankly, I feel like you're trying to, you're trying to create an unlevel playing field because you know at how much of a disadvantage you are at.
The fighting talk has already started, ladies and gentlemen.
These are strong words from someone who's going to lose so easily.
I've decided I'm going to do Valdor in this instance. Just now. Just thought about it. It's going to be Valdor now. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. That's awesome. I mean, you're actually you've done you're doing incredibly well now, Josh. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm really pleased with this year. Like I said, and actually I think painting things like I've always been kind of, it's one of those things of, I've never kind of been like, oh no, there's no way I could actually paint that. I've always kind of thought, yeah, no, I'll figure out a way to do that. But contrast paints obviously make things a different way of painting it. So like being able to do the Razorback tutorial that I did did this year. When I went into that, I was like, yeah, no, I'm sure contrast paint, I'm sure I can make it work on the Razorback. And then as I'm doing it, I'm like, I think this is going to work. And then actually by the end of it being like, oh, do you know what? Yeah, no, it is. So I think one of the best things that's happened to me this year is that I have gained a lot of confidence in my own skill, I think. And as a consequence of all the kind of the wonderful reaction from people that I've got from YouTube. So yeah, I've had a good year. Lots of highlights.
It is amazing because, as Quipster will know, I adore Quipster's armies, and I get weirdly invested in my friends' armies. Like we have a friend Alec who's painting Necrons, and I'm just obsessed with them. And I'm just constantly asking Quipster about his Imperial Fist, just because they are so clean and stuff. But some of the stuff you paint, Josh, just breaks me. Like when you painted, I don't know much about AOS, but the woman with the veil, I just stared at that picture for so long. I just don't understand how you can paint something to look like a veil. It makes no fucking sense to me at all. It's
well,
amazing.
In order to find out, you go on the internet and think really hard, because I'm not allowed to mention the URL more than once in a podcast, unfortunately. Or can I? We'll let
you do it this time. It's fine.
Yeah, you head to www.youtube.com/warhipster.
I'm going to jump in now before I get to you, Winters, about my year, because it was quite funny to me, because Quipster and Adam will know this the best, but I watch a lot of YouTube Warhammer stuff. I actually don't watch much YouTube generally, but just Warhammer stuff. But I'm not a painter. As Charles, my friend, will put it, I'm firmly a player. But I had only really watched Warhipster because I'm a huge fan of the School of Contrast, and I had a fantastic time playing Warzone this year, thanks to our good friend Alex, because we were playing Warzone.
I remember this,
and for the first time, Quipster went, "Oh, my friend Josh is going to join," and I was, "Oh, okay, cool, yeah, that's cool." And so he jumped on, and then Quipster actually left, and I was like, "Oh, hi, how's you know, Alex?" And Josh was like, "Through Warhammer," and we spoke about Blood Angels, and we spoke for about an hour and a half, and then Quipster came back in. He was like, "Oh, so you've met the Warhipster?" And I was like, "He's that Josh!" And so I was like having like my fanboy moment there, which was fantastic. And then a couple of weeks later, he was like, "Oh, my friend Winters is going to join," and I think I kept my cool reasonably well, because I am somewhat of a fan of what Winters has done over the years, which was amazing. And then about a couple of weeks later, we had Mikey from Hellstorm on, and I was like, Jesus Christ, this is getting ridiculous. And like I was like, I said to Quips, like, I swear to God, if next time I come into Verdansk, like, you know, we've got like Brian Pullen or like Bones on, like I'm gonna start losing my shit, because this is getting unreal. And yeah, so it was absolutely fantastic to play with you guys. It was really, really cool for me. And I think I've also just got to mention my love with Gene Stealer cults. I always say that, like, you know, Tower, the army that got me into 40k, and Dark Angels are the reason I will never leave, because I absolutely they are my wife. They are the thing that I will always go back to. But
Caroline's going to be annoyed.
G Stealer cults are just this army that, like, there's just this crazy girl that, like, I'm just having this affair with, and she just gets me, and she's just amazing, and she's so interesting and fun, and it's just nice to do something different. So I'm developing a deep love for the Four-Armed Emperor at the moment.
She keeps trying to implant you with some genetic material, and you're not ready for that kink yet.
Fantastic. But yeah, I mean, as a fan, I think all of us can agree, and I'm sure all of our listeners will as well. Both of them will agree that it was so fucking amazing to see your year go on. And like, when people ask me about 40k, there's a lot of people that don't do. They're like, you know, that's such a weird. Like, what's it like to do Warhammer in 2020? Because most people have played it as a kid. I talk about the really, really wholesomeness of this hobby, and there's a sheer massive quantity of it. I think you're a great example of this. What has been your favorite stuff of 2020?
There's a lot to mention, so I'll keep it then. But no, thank you for, you know, the support and stuff. But we're people too, aren't you know, Josh? We're people too. We're in this hobby too.
No, you're not.
No, I like. There's different ways to engage with Warhammer 40k, and one of the ways is to play it. One of the ways is to paint. And then you're engaged. Another way is to read the books from Black Library. I like what Josh said about Warhipster said about actually making videos. That's one of the ways that I engage with it as well. So I play, I paint, and by making videos, I engage with the hobby, engage with the community. So I notice, Warhipster, that because of YouTube, you're painting less because you've only got so much time, right?
Yeah, I'm. It's weird. Like I'm painting less miniatures for a painting channel. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but as you very well know, the filming takes up a significant portion of your time. Yeah, and
the bigger the filming channel gets and the more time you put into that, the less and less and less painting you'll do. So for me, painting wise, I don't paint very much these days because I don't have much time, despite the good news, which was in basically the end of March, beginning of April this year, I went full time. So I'm one of the very, very few lucky people who manages to play 40k for a living, which is terribly exciting.
That's pretty cool.
So that's pretty good. So I don't work for the man anymore. I just do this, and I just play and paint and engage with the community. And that's the big change that happened to me in 2020. And I still don't seem to have any time because I'm making more videos and we're collaborating with people more like this. And with Mini Wargaming Dave, as you mentioned in the Bestest Boss video. And one thing that happened to me actually this year is I could take time off. That didn't happen before because I was at work, and then when I got back from work, I was just focusing on the hobby so much. So now having moments where I can play Warzone with some wonderful weirdos that I meet online, it's delightful. That never happened. So that's good.
I think, I think this year it's been a bit of an odd one, right? Because in many ways it's been like this year's been pretty awful for obviously quite a lot of people, right? And we've had to put up with this, pandemic. But the fact that certainly, not just, I'm not being smug about like our group, right, and the people we know and sort of getting a Warzone, but I've seen, there was a big in the London Wargaming Guild. With all its, quite a lot of members, there was like a big community, the chats are still going. People are talking about, getting on Zoom calls with each other and playing games online and doing stuff. So the community's really, really come together. And, like our local gaming store, Bad Moon Cafe, they obviously, have had difficulties this year, like any retail, store going in any, hobby or otherwise in the country because of COVID. And there was a big effort by people to encourage, if people are buying Warhammer anyway, go in there and buy it from them or get gift vouchers and stuff, really trying to encourage people to go out and do that. And it's been really nice. I don't want to get too soppy about it, but it's just been a really nice feeling in the community this year, I think, to help us sort of get through what can otherwise be quite an isolating year. So that's the positive coming out of the negative, I think.
I agree 100%. And like, if you're not going to get soppy, I am.
Moving on.
How do I mute Quipster?
But it's one of those things, like especially back in March, we were all looking at the situation like, shit, we're all stuck indoors. We can't see each other. This is terrible. But out of that, since then, every single night we were in Warzone together. Like, I was able to introduce like all my London friends to my DZTV friends, and we formed like a greater like community through that.
A greater good.
And then on top of that, a greater good. But then on top of that as well, like we together as a gaming group, we've been on House Party basically every single night since then, painting together and chatting and just like having that sort of support structure around us.
Yeah, it's been
big.
I
think that, exactly. And that's been something that's been really heartening.
Yeah. And that's also how I've learned most of the plot of Saturnine.
Just spoiling it.
It's so hard to talk about that book.
They are all guilty of going, what about that bit in Saturnine? And I immediately go, I haven't read it. And they go, okay. It's just, it's not much of a spoiler, but at the end. sounds like a pretty big spoiler that's about to drop.
He's an aberration. He's a freak.
And they almost started doing it with the Mandalorian as well, which was hysterical. Because like, who is it who's not seen it?
Yeah, Rich hasn't seen it either. Our other Reza, who's otherwise normally on this podcast.
I just foresee over the next few weeks. I mean, again, I've not seen the Mandalorian, but I have friends who go, mate, the finale of the Mandalorian, this happened, and you go, well, thanks for not thanks for letting me discover it. I see that over the next few weeks, Rich is going to learn what happened in the most recent series of The Mandalorian as a consequence of you lot going, okay, it's not a very big spoiler, but at the end, Darth Vader is resurrected. That's not.
I thought we did a fucking great job. We have had 2 episodes on Sanguinius now, right? Because we had the first episode I did with you and Adam was we talked about Sanguinius a lot, and we did the episode on Blood Angels. Do you have any idea how hard it is to do an episode where Josh goes, right? So can you not talk about these main books with Sanguinius? And you're like, okay. So he's spawned on Baal, and he runs through a cathedral. That's
what's the rule. The rule is I think the generally accepted rule is that inside the first year of something being released, you're a dick if you spoil it. After that, it's the person who really wanted to watch it or read it or experience it that hasn't done it. Like you can spoil The Shining now. Like, you're not a dick if you spoil that, but like. That's what I generally feel is a fairly easy rule to accept. Saturnine came out in when? June?
Yeah, I think so. Roughly around it.
Time has no meaning anymore, so yeah, maybe.
Yeah, who knows? It came out at some point in the nebulous morass that is 2020.
You're trying to tell people not to spoil something, and there's a year, right?
Yeah.
The counter argument to that is read it.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I mean, he's got a compelling point.
So I was going to say on that, Rich has got through 5 of the episodes of The Mandalorian now, so he's only 3 behind. So
because he's a good person.
He speed watched them yesterday in order that he would not be spoiled, right? So it's the same thing. Read Saturnine, Josh.
I'm getting there. As I said, I was reading the Horus Heresy from book 1 to book 56, whatever it is, and I am on Slaves to Darkness. That is. And it's all been new for me.
Slaves to Darkness is horrible. Skip that one. It's really bad.
Yeah, it's not great.
There's about 3 books in the Horus Heresy series that you should skip, and that's one of them.
What's the other one?
Damnation of Pythos has got to be
the Damnation of Python and the Battle of the Abyss, the Furious Abyss one.
See, I've read all of them. I've gone from 1 to. I am literally just doing it all in order. Every single book from
that's what
start to
happens
finish.
when you read it in order. You ding your toe.
Yeah, and I'm really excited because I'm getting there to the buried dagger, as it often gets told.
Buried dagger's good.
Such a good one.
Good.
Yeah, and also these Siege of Terror books are now being released on the small paperbacks, because that's the other thing as well. Is I got all the rest of them in the small paperbacks. I didn't want to then buy the big hardback books for the Siege of Terror because it wouldn't match the set. Because I think as the people on this podcast and the 2 listeners that we are at home, this is a collection. Collecting is quite a heavy part of this hobby, and you don't want all of the books to be completely mismatched, different versions and copies. So I saw that the first one is now out on the paperback, so I should get to Saturnine as soon as it is. It book 3? It's book 3 in Siege of Terror, right?
3 or 4.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
Saturnine's 4.
So I'll probably get to it around. In theory, I should be able to be completely up to date just before that book drops in the small paperback.
And you're reading them, yeah? You're reading them.
I am reading them, yeah.
The other person in this group can read. Good.
All I was going to say is, I mean, we did with the other, I guess, thing to mention in 2020. Of course, the obvious is that we did what a lot of white, vaguely middle class men in their 20s to 30s with hobbies do when they haven't got anything else to do. And we launched a podcast, and this is why we're all here. So, because we thought people would want to hear our inane opinions on this hobby.
I'm glad though that this was the podcast we ended up doing, and not the other idea that gained a lot of traction, which was we were all going to start sourdough starters and do a weekly commentary on how they looked.
I leave the baking to my other half, Kelly, who bakes very well. I'll do the hobby. She can do the baking. That's fine.
Oh, Where did we get to on that idea that she should bake like Warhammer cakes?
So, I don't know why I'm like, I guess we're doing sponsorship from my other half. But yeah, she is going to, at some point in the new year, she is planning, she came and she was like, nerds are kind of, nerds with Warhammer are like nerds who probably want to, get some themed stuff, right? And I was like, yeah. She's like, do you reckon you could make like a Warhammer cake? And what would that look like? And I sort of said, well, the 4 Chaos Gods have symbols that are quite distinguished. They're easily distinguishable. You kind of make a cake shape. So there may or may not be a Nurgle one at some point in the new year, which she will attempt to. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be. I think we're going to put like jelly worms on top and stuff like that. That kind of thing, and green icing, make it all very Nurgly. But yeah, that's a project to come.
You want to be careful because she'll be baking birthday cakes for Warhammer fans the world over if that takes off.
That's what worries
What she
me.
needs is 2 massive nipple horns, and then.
Well, luckily, when she opens her Christmas present,
Fantastic. Okay, brilliant. Okay, well,
Great insight into your relationship, Adam. Cool.
Yep.
Okay, absolutely fantastic. Well, let's move on then to my favourite part of this podcast, because I am a huge fan of wild speculation, and so I've designated a whole section of today to that. So let's go round and let's just tangent here as far as possible. What do people think is going to happen in 2021? We've obviously had the launch of 9th edition, as Adam says, which has been probably the most important Warhammer event of 2020, and by 90% of accounts, it is one of the best editions of the game, probably even the best. And so, yeah, what do people see for coming? And also lore stuff. We've obviously had the Mortis, the next Siege of Terror book announced. The Luther book is going to come out on paperback soon. Yeah, what kind of things do people think is going to happen?
I'll start off with something, I guess, quite prosaic, but I would hope it's going to be telling. So I'm really looking forward to the new Drakari Codex. And the reason why is I don't collect Drakari. It's one of the few armies I don't seem to have. Yeah. We'll pencil that in as a yet.
Give it a minute.
But I think it's going to be a really interesting sign for how things are going to go for Xenos codexes going forward, right? Because they've said that the Drakari are getting a complete rewrite. They're changing around how their army works. And if anyone listening knows about how the Drakari Codex in 8th edition worked, it's sort of 3 armies in a single faction, really. You have kind of the Covens, the Cabals, and the Witches. And they don't really gel together in the way that maybe people who play that army would like. And they said they're getting a complete rewrite. Now, obviously, I know the Necrons got a complete rewrite, but they were the marquee kind of the big bad of 9th edition. Much the way that the Death Guard were at the start of 8th edition. So it's kind of obvious that they would get a complete change. So if the Drakari Codex is good and has a lot of cool changes in it, I think it's going to be a really good sign for the Craftworld Eldar. And the one I'm interested in is the Tyranids. Because I want the Tyranids to be really, like, they're such a cool faction, and I want them to be really good, and I want them to have cool rules that kind of reflect their, this gribbly swarm of giant monsters. It'd just be amazing. So, yeah, I would hope, my prediction is the Drakari Codex will be really good. It has lots of cool rules in it, and that is going to be a real sign for where things are going to go, and also for the Tau as well, for Ed's sort of army, changing it up so that they get something new other than just running a gun line.
Yeah, you raise a really good point. Necrons are the flagship army. Space Marines are already good. Death Guard are already good. So Drakari are the first army, essentially, of the game. GW have no reason to buff them to the degree that pretty much every army have. Like, I will say, the game is pretty well balanced. I think Tau are exceptionally bad. But the game is, outside of Tau, I honestly think the game is pretty well balanced. I think you can take pretty much any army and beat pretty much any army. And that's not to say that there aren't tiers to some degree. There definitely are. But yeah, Drakari are one of the ones in the lower Tau and inside of that pretty well balanced scenario. So it will be really interesting to see if they make them as good as the kind of like 8 or so armies that are all vying for top spot at the moment. So yeah, I'm totally with you there. Quipster, what about you? I'm hoping that they remove that they change the Imperial Fist doctrine so you can only use it on like twice a turn, something like that. But outside of that,
oh my god, it's useless enough already.
What are you hoping for in 2021?
So, to be honest, the things I'm hoping for in 2021, Not a lot of it is Custodes or Imperial Fist based, because Imperial Fist are Space Marines. Space Marines have loads of stuff, so I'm not worried about them.
So it's all chaos. You want chaos then?
what's the new Lord Demon Primarch Lorgar? He's misunderstood, guys.
I mean, the thing
he's still a loyalist, I promise.
Genuinely, the things I would love to see are, number one, in terms of the Chaos Marine Codex, I would love to see them do exactly that. What they did for the Space Marine Codex. So one main codex, and then supplements for all the undivided legions. So Alpha Legion, Iron Warriors, all that. And then I would also like to see separate codexes for World Eaters and Emperor's Children, because they're the god-specific ones, just in the same way they've got the Thousand Sons and the other ones I don't care about. So I'd love to see that.
Grandpa Nurgle is unhappy with you.
I hate Nurgle. Like, I hate the aesthetic. I hate the models. All of it.
That hurts me, because the thing is, Nurgle loves you.
I've just decided I'm going to change my entry for the challenge to Mortarion.
Oh my god.
So Winters, I think what you need to do now, if I may, is suggest that you invite Alex to bring down his Imperial Fists and give him a little schooling with the End of All Things, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah. Hang on a minute. What happened the last time I played your End of All Things?
I don't know. I played very many games. I'm really pleased that this became a moment for you.
Yes,
I think you should do a nice kind of almost like you bring your collection and I'll bring my collection type fight. And then, so Alex can bring all of his Custodes, and you can bring all of your Death Guard, and we'll see who wins after that.
Yeah, we'll see if the Custodes can survive more than 2 turns. I know how many Custodes you've got and how much Death Guard I've got. So
yeah, all right. Just like no holds barred. I mean, Alex, you can even bring that massive Imperial Fists force that you've got as well.
Well, no, that's an interesting thing, because no holds barred, because I very rarely bring full-on tournament-esque ass-kicking lists. I try to balance it, and I try and make the story as interesting as possible. And so, let's face it, Quipster, I've gone easy on you in the past. If you want to take the gloves...
the annoying thing is, he's right. Every time I go down, Winters is like really nice to me.
If you want to go back to school, okay?
If he's going to give it big words every time about how his Custodes are amazing.
Custodes are amazing. They're not even big words. It's just the truth.
That's another achievement for you in 2020, Quipster, because now that you played something other than Custodes, you actually got to learn how Warhammer is played, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a different experience when nothing like can be killed.
Yeah, no, I'm just seeing that 2021, what you're looking forward to is getting your ass kicked by Warhipster in painting and by me on the tabletop.
Yeah.
And then you can learn from these defeats. You can grow. You can learn. You can become a better person.
What's that thing when you get egg on your face? When like you lose and then you've said something like you're going to win?
Yeah, that's you this year.
Yeah. 2021 is going to be the end of all things, including your Custodes' dignity.
Yes.
Yeah. Just call that episode the end of Quipster, Winters. Just call it that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god. Not okay.
I think let's touch on that. We've had a couple of people mention rules. So yeah, I have a lot of hopes for 2021 in terms of rules, and I'm very special, so I'm going to talk for a while now. I'm going February. I'm thinking Black Templars. I'm really hoping that they get their own selection, so that their own like Primaris unit. I am really hoping that they get a supplement. The way their index is written makes me think that they are getting something. I really hope Custodes get rules that make them play like Custodes. I hope anything happens to Tau. Just anything at all. And yeah, Chaos Space Marines are probably the big one for 2021 for me as well. It's such a shame that there's such a gap, but I am pretty confident they're going to change. We've already seen a couple of changes already. So Death to the False Emperor is going bye-bye, which I'm a huge fan of, because I am not a fan of wide faction-specific bonuses. I like specific ones, Imperial Fist, Iron Warriors. But what that means, is that Death to the False Emperor is going, is that GW thinks they have balanced Chaos Space Marines with Space Marines. And that's really, really, really cool. They've definitely got a much better grasp on how to balance things now. One of the big changes that we've seen towards the end of 2020, from my point of view, as someone who's a lot of the time quite the polar opposite to Winters, because I much prefer the kind of competitive, more efficiency kind of driven list. That's kind of how I am, because I'm not a very nice person. And one of the things that W has done is they have released not only the app, but this kind of stats center that they've made, which is great for a couple of reasons. A, it gives nerds like me an opportunity to discuss which factions are broken, quote unquote. But also it gives the rules writers a huge amount more insight than they had before, because one of the things that we'll do is we moan about things constantly without much actual grounding. They're just based upon our games. And now that these stats are being collected and shared around, it's actually a fantastic stage for the game, because without this happening, the rules writers had such a difficult task to balance the game when you're just going off the opinions of a bunch of angry nerds. So now they can actually look at things and see how they're going. So I'm incredibly excited for 2021. And every army is getting so complicated now. If we look at, like Adam said, like we expected Necrons to get a lot, and Space Marines are already pretty complicated. Death Guard are now even better, and just there's so many more levels to that army now. It's absolutely awesome. As someone that loves rules, it's just the best time for me. It's just so exciting. The only thing that sucks is having to wait for your codex. But yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing rules wise for 2021. Josh, let's flip to you then. So what are you excited for next year?
Well, so I think over the next year we are going to see a whole slew of new codexes come out, and whilst the rules are important, the thing I'm looking forward to is how much the stakes are going to be raised in the narrative. Because you always get these small little tidbits as it comes out. So I believe it was the Dark Angels Codex that actually, in a footnote in a paragraph at the end, said Luther it can't be found. They don't know where he is. And then it was in the Psychic Awakening book. They say there's rumored buildup of a fallen force somewhere in the Maelstrom. It's these small little stakes being raised all over the galaxy, and it is those things that I think are the really cool, really interesting things about this story that has developed a lot since 8th edition, and it hadn't developed much before that, and we've seen the narrative move on significantly in the last 3 years, and I'm looking forward to that happening more. I can't begin to predict where it's going to go. I almost kind of hope that somewhere like we had Cadia fall, even though it stands. I'm hoping somewhere like Armageddon or something creates a massive narrative shift, somewhere like that. I'm hoping something like that happens this year, or that the Pariah Nexus goes somewhere, and that it actually does have an effect on the things that we're hoping.
Gazgul does something good. Jesus Christ.
Gazgul does something good. I just and it's when you are at the beginning of a codex run, there is a lot to be excited about in terms of the shifts that could potentially happen. And we all know that we are at the beginning of a codex run. I am also excited, and I know that this is a 40k primarily podcast, but there are big things happening in the Mortal Realms for Age of Sigmar, and there are big things happening in the Mandalorian as well. There are big things happening in the Mortal Realms. I think we're going to see Age of Sigmar 3rd edition this year, which will bring all of the things that it always seems to bring. I mean, like you see like the improvements in the quality of design of miniatures.
I mean, the AOS stuff is insane.
Yeah,
all of it is astounding.
You seem to see it happen in Age of Sigmar first, and then it gives me a lot of hope about what's going to happen in the next runs of things for 40k as well.
I was going to say those new Slanesh models they've announced for AOS give me a lot of hope for the Emperor's Children.
Yeah, that's a prime example. I mean, also you see the like AOS 2. We had all of the Sacrosanct Chamber for the Stormcast come out, which is all those robed mage dudes, and they are leaps and bounds ahead of what came out in the first edition of Age of Sigmar. and we've seen that happen in Warhammer 40,000 as well. The stuff that has come in Indomitus, in terms of the way it looks, the aesthetic, the things that they're pulling in terms of the Space Marines and the Necrons, the design has leapt forward massively since Dark Imperium. And Dark Imperium was really good. Like the Death Guard release was incredible. The Intercessor, all the Primera stuff looks amazing. But I think that Indomitus has brought that way forward. Like the Assault Intercessors, it's so tiny, but like
It's
just
so
the amount of kind of dynamism or whatever you would call it,
personality
in those models.
Yeah.
And like stuff like the Blade Guard, you're seeing the all that kind of stuff. So that gives me a lot of hope for things like the rumored Lilith Hesperax model that is coming with the Dark Eldar book. We've seen some stuff previewed for Admech and Sisters.
We still don't have Obliterator models.
We still don't have Obliterator models. Although you can get them in the
start collecting.
In the start collecting Chaos Space Marines as a consequence of.
That is a great point, Josh. Like the codexes in terms of lore are really, really cool, and also, I think I think I have mentioned the line today. I can't remember. It's also important to point out that the other two rumors that are constantly rife ever since I've been in the hobby are Angron and Fulgrim, and so I think Adam mentioned the Emperor's Children, and Josh mentioned Armageddon. I am hopeful for 2021. It's going to be a Primarch year. I like to think that the only problem is that I think the Primarchs are behind. There's a wall that's like in case of stock price drop, break glass, and then they crack out a Primarch. And the problem is, as we know, Games Workshop is making absolutely shit tons. So maybe they're just like
from just the five of us.
Yeah, we don't need to. But cool. I think also so let's move on to Winters. I always love to hear your opinions, despite the fact that I play the game in a very different way. So like your opinions on Crusade were really interesting to me. Winters, a little while ago you made a video on that. So what are you excited for in 2021?
I think 9th edition rule set is the best rule set so far, but the missions are already beginning to feel a bit samey. Because you score the primaries in all the same way all the time, but there used to be different ways of playing. So the 9th edition rule set is a really good rule set. The 9th edition missions, I think there's a matched play gap. The Crusade system is very good if that's what you want to do, which is link together match play, but there is a narrative play gap. So I think the 9th edition rule set is, as I said, it's really good, but there's a couple of gaps in match play, a couple of gaps in narrative play for me. So I'd like to see those gaps bridged. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're definitely leaning more and more and more towards tournament play. They're definitely leaning more towards events. There's lots of reasons why they're doing that, which I won't go down that rabbit hole. But different ways of playing. What I'd like to see is an Apocalypse expansion in 2021, which is not a different rule set, which is the same 40k rule set with some exceptions or some restrictions that you can use when you're playing Apocalypse. So it's okay for you to field 4,000, 8,000 points on the table and it not to take all day. What Apocalypse didn't need was a different rule set. What Apocalypse needed was absolute sheer brutality, apocalyptic destruction. So you can bring 8,000 points worth of models and it'll be over in 3 hours because a lot of stuff dies very quickly. It's the Apocalypse. And so if that doesn't come out in 2021, I'll write up the PDF that I've got and launch it on DZTV and free to download on Winters, and then a bunch of other videos that I'll make some videos using the rule set that I've got, which is about 2 pages, which is easy. And it's just about brutality in Apocalypse. That's one of the things I want to see. The other thing I want to see is Maelstrom back. I want to see cards back. And if you don't have to bring that into match play, you could bring it as a narrative play edition. So there's a book comes out, Maelstrom of War, and it's got the 66 cards in the back of the book. Or you can buy for £10 or £100 this deck of cards as well. So you can play narrative, play Maelstrom, or you can play Apocalypse, and it doesn't mess with the main rule set because we all like the main rule set, but there are different ways to play. So those of us who aren't as competitively driven have different ways of playing the game. That's what I'd like to see in 2021. That was a bit salty. Sorry about that.
I was going to say, essentially, it's going to be really interesting to see what you end up doing more with the open war cards, because I remember the last thing we filmed with the open war cards was super fun and really narrative. So, yeah, I'd like to experiment with that a lot more in 2021.
The last 4 games I played weren't match play. They were all open play using the open war card deck. And they were some of the best and most competitive and most tactical. Played one yesterday and it came down to the last dice roll of the game. Those are the best games. In a lot of the match play games, not because of the rules, but because of the missions, you know who's won in turn 3 because there's no way back for our opponent in turn 4 or turn 5. And where you have missions where that is the outcome, and I've filmed them and stuck them on the internet and I've seen them on other people's channels, that's not good for the game. That's not good for getting new people into the hobby as well. And what we all need is as many new people coming into the hobby, because then the community gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's better for all of us in the long run. We want games coming down to the last turn, to the last dice roll. So
I was going to say, I mean, one of the things I enjoyed watching, and I don't. So sorry, just to check before I say this. The stuff. Have you done anything with the Volcanus 22nd? Your games with Sultan, are they on your channel, or are they all solely on? Sorry, I can't remember whether they're on, because I know they're on sort of both, right?
Yeah, the Volcanus 22nd are mainly on deploymentzone.tv.
Okay, well, I won't obviously give any spoilers.
And that means, as Josh says, we're about to spoil it.
Yeah,
you are all so much more precious about spoiling battle reports than you are about Saturnine. Honestly,
well, we haven't got the author of Saturnine here, so you don't matter. But you
do this
stuff,
all
so
the time.
Be nice to him.
All the time, a video comes out and like, oh, have you seen this battle report? And someone will go, no. Oh, okay, well, I won't spoil it. And then the conversation stops there. Has anyone read Saturnine? No. Okay, well, at the end, the Emperor takes a golden shit on Magnus.
Well, no. All I was going to say about those battle reports. One of the things I really like that you and Sultan did to your opponent in those games is just some of the like narrative mechanics in those. And I'll say I won't give away what happens, but I'll just say orc bomb squigs. Oof. Yeah. I love it. I don't know. It just makes it kind of fun. Yeah, it just makes it kind of fun, and it adds that, I think, that element of randomness that's in like the Maelstrom cards, which is a little bit missing. And I think the problem with the Maelstrom cards in the game was obviously the issue with any with randomness. When it's just in a deck of cards that every single army gets, is that you end up with situations where you pull an objective that you just cannot do. You know, like the classic one is there's some sort of psychic thing and you're an army with no psychers. So you're like, okay, what do I do with this? And then the rules, like, I don't understand why they didn't just retain that, but then have a rule that, you know, allowed you to just discard those and replace them with another with no penalty.
They did that at the end of 8th edition, didn't they?
They did that deck build. Yeah, they did that deck building thing at the end, but it came quite late in the edition, so I don't think people really used it that much. I'd like to see that come back if they did that. Yeah,
it shouldn't be. Well, they could have kept them. It just don't make it match play. Make it open play or narrative play.
Yeah,
it's not.
And I like the
being used in a tournament, and that example that you gave as well of bomb squigs and the kind of narrative that we're doing in DZTV shows that again, there's that narrative gap. That we're doing narrative play, but not using the Crusade system. So I've actually I'm filming a couple of things to put on YouTube as well, because I want to. 40k isn't just those missions. 40k is your 40k and is whatever game you want to make it. And ultimately, the bottom line is to have fun. And if your fun is to be as competitive as possible and win, then that's great. And clearly, Adam is all over that. He loves playing competitively. That's fun for him. That's good. And more hats off to you. But that other people like playing different types of 40k, and the main rule book doesn't cater to everyone this time round. So I think 8th was catered to everyone. I think 9th leans towards a specific market, and I'm very salty about it. I'm sorry. The rules are great, but it leans quite heavily.
I'm very much with you. Very much with you. To your point about the open war cards, the best game of Warhammer I've ever had was at the end of 7th edition, and it was using the Empiric Warzone open cards. thing that they brought out as part of the Gathering Storm, and there's a card in there, and I will never forget it. It was you draw the card, and it becomes a thing of all sixes count as ones, and all ones count as sixes rolled on the table for the next turn. It's so much fun, and you go from like rolling, and I was playing with my Grey Knights and this, that, and the other, and needing to roll the invulnerable saves, and you go, I need to roll a 5-up invulnerable save. You roll a bunch of ones, and that card is in play. So you go, they're actually all right, and so your opponent is like, oh yes, I've killed the entire unit of paladins. They're like, no, you have not. My bad luck has actually held me in this turn. There is a narrative gap, and it is because the Maelstrom cards have gone. I know lots of people hated drawing those cards that you couldn't actually achieve or whatever, but actually that's about as fluffy as it can possibly get in that hectic war zone. Garbled orders, kind of crosstalk of the Voxnet saying you need to take this objective or fire up the Psychers. The Psychers are all dead. We didn't know that, but do it anyway. Do you know what I mean? I think it's perfect.
I'm a huge believer, and it's not Christmas without a family row. So I'm going to ardently disagree with pretty much everybody here. No, I was going to say where I really agree with you, Winters, actually, is I'm actually not a massive fan of Crusade, because I think you sum it up best when you say it's a way of stringing along a series of match play games. And the problem is that because we tried Crusade as a group, and we played a whole bunch of people, and it doesn't really encourage anybody to do anything narrative. Because what it actually does is Crusade allows you to take your match play list and tune it up with a bunch of benefits that you get from playing the Crusade system. And it creates an absolute mess of weird competitiveness. So I do think the Crusade system needs... I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you incentivize people to take narrative stuff. I think we'll just have to play it more inside of our group. I don't know.
But Ed, what you don't realise about my Salamander's captain on bike is that his narrative is that he's just really good and he's unkillable. That's his narrative. He's just really good at everything.
Yeah. Well, here's a way to incentivize people to do narrative stuff. Imagine if the 9th edition rulebook dropped and it's exactly the same as it is now, but in the narrative section, before or after the Crusade section, it says narrative Crusade, here's how you play that, and narrative Maelstrom, here's how you play that. Here's 6 Maelstrom missions, here's some cards.
I don't have really an opinion on Maelstrom. I was kind of hitting neither here nor there for me. I didn't love it or hate it. It was just kind of all right.
Yeah.
But that's one way of doing it. There's other ways to do it. There are gaps. The Crusade, the thing about, I've got the Crusade supplement, the very first GW 9th edition Crusade supplement that they released. So this is their way of playing narrative. And that book has 2 pages of narrative in it. That tells you what they think of narrative in this edition.
Yeah. You need to be brought on as they've brought on the Nova guy as the tournament competitive consultant. They need to bring you or like the team like Sultan or something, like you guys as a team on as like the narrative consultants. So then we just end up with like the 2 rule sets.
Yes, in 2021, I'd like different ways of playing narratively and some Apocalypse rule set, please. Thank you. That's my answer.
I like it.
The thing that does give me hope for you there, Winters, is actually, despite the fact it's very weird, is this book about all the terrain rules. It definitely makes me think they're going to release different ways of playing 40k just through different books. So hopefully you get a book there that's sandbox narrative, or I don't know, however you want it written, but something like that. Maybe that'll help.
But then similarly, a narrative book could just be 1 page, which is have fun, guys. Do what you want.
Yeah. Well, we are going to end Sanguinalia there. Have I said that right? We're going to end Christmas there. So thank you so much for listening, everybody who has stayed with us all the way through. I think this is our 30th podcast.
This is the 13th. Yeah, appropriate.
Yeah, and as Adam says, we are fundamentally a group of Warhammer nerds who, for some reason, think we're funny. So thank you so much for staying with us, everybody. In actual fact, I do have one final request of you, which is that if you could please say more mean things to Quipster whenever he's on, because that comment section was ridiculously positive and pleasant, and I was not very happy at all.
The comment section is very nice to me.
Yeah, it's just bad for him.
I mean, look, much like Fulgrim, Quipster looks nice on the outside, but he is corrupt as hell on the inside.
I think it's like the Roman. It's like the Roman triumph. Right, it's like the Roman triumph. Quipster is paraded through the comments section with everyone saying how amazing his painting is. It's all true. Everyone's saying he's a good-looking guy. It's all true. And then one of us, or perhaps you, Winters, needs to be the slave holding the laurel above his head and whispering in his ear and saying, "Glory is only fleeting."
Yes. Yeah.
Well, or just do what Rich does and just whisper, "You're a dickhead," all the time.
I mean, glory is only fleeting is nicer. I thought that was all. And more Romanesque. No one told Julius Caesar he was a dickhead, except Brutus, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, actually, which does remind me, Quipster, as it's obviously been a fantastic year, and you've obviously had a huge amount painted. Do you want to shout out Siege Studios one last time for the work that they've done? But yeah, so
someone's going to believe that at some point.
Yeah, I hope so. Quipster, where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at Quipster Nerd and on YouTube. If you search Quipster, you'll find me.
And the legal department, what about you, mate?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at ADRWargaming.
Brilliant. And Josh, I know it's tough for you because you can't use your URL, but if you, where else can people find you, mate? Outside of chat?
Just kind of find me around. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Facebook if you know my real name, which you will do. It's Josh. I'm all over the place. I've said it before. Warhipster, Instagram, YouTube, Ko-Fi, Patreon.
Cool. I'm going to laughably assume that we have some fans that aren't also fans of Winters. So, Winters, where can people find you?
Terra Segmentum Solar.
Nice. Nice. I should have said say hi, Winters. It was my one chance. Say hi, Winters. Cool.
We're going to have to re-record now, guys.
Yeah. I messed that up. Okay, brilliant. Yeah, and you can find me at that as the Sandman Hobby, or you can find us all at, Adam, I always get it wrong, I'm sorry, the Conclave 40k podcast, or something like that on Instagram. Type us in. Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, just look up the Conclave 40k on Instagram, and we will appear with our about 9 posts. I promise we will put more content out there.
And this will go up on YouTube as well.
Yes, yeah.
Brilliant. Well, once again, a very Merry Christmas from everybody here at the Conclave. We hope you have a really, really great time and you get great presents, whether they're Warhammer related or even other things if you're so inclined. For example, even if you get clothes. And, whilst we're on the topic, actually, there are many clothes in the Rumour Engines that came out in December, which, I don't know if you're aware of. The line is actually very famous for not being a naked product. So it could be a sign of things to come. But thanks very much for listening, and see you next year.